subscriptions.
This is Jake Favish with Before the Build. Today, I get the absolute pleasure of sitting down with someone who really needs no introduction. David Mayo is the founder of Studio Mayo, an architecture firm here in Louisville, Kentucky. But somehow, when you read David's biography, founder almost reads like a footnote. David is also a nationally recognized architect, the winner of many awards, and the current president of the Central Kentucky chapter of the AIA. When I see David's work, and when you see David's work, you're going to immediately recognize the skill and artistry he brings to the project. David is unquestionably talented. But what I love the most about getting to know David is his humility and his friendship. David is constantly welcoming people in. David is a collaborator, a leader, and a team player. He also happens to be a Kentucky Colonel, but more on that later. From coffee shops to job sites to AIA board meetings, everywhere David goes, people experience his warmth, his skill, his artistry, and his leadership. Louisville is better off because David's here. David, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to sit down with me for a few minutes. I really appreciate it. And I always like to kick things off by just saying, what you into this week?
Yeah, well, that was one heck of an introduction.
No pressure.
I appreciate that. That was very kind of you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. I know this is a really interesting show. I really appreciate you putting this on to help educate people and communicate what we all do and the importance of it. So thanks for doing this. Thanks for having me on.
Oh man, it's total honor. As the listeners don't know, but me and you know, I've been working on David since, I don't know, August of last year.
Yeah. So sorry, finally got in here. Yeah, I knew it would happen eventually. So thanks for being patient with me.
Oh, no.
But yeah, no, happy to be here. Huge honor. What working on this week? Yeah. Okay, so you're kind of intimately aware that we have a ribbon cutting happening on Wednesday with the mayor, and the whole architectural element of the project is going in kind of like at the last hour here to install this ceiling. It's a felt ceiling for acoustics, and it's kind of, I've never seen it done this way before. It's kind of this undulating topography of felt, and you're actually helping get that done. So that's been a really fun thing to see come together of the past week of like, okay, how do we had an idea,
right,
and we had a design, but so much of our designs are based on the material, and how it reacts. And so how do we we felt like we were forcing it, know, and we had to kind of course adjust, and like, you don't know those things until you get into it, especially when it's never been done before. So it's like, we had to like get the material and actually feel it. Yeah. And so there's a lot of challenges because like there's a big idea of, we need to make the space feel calm. This is a veterans nonprofit. And so they're handling a lot of tense calls, right?
Okay.
So we wanted the space to help them calm down and feel at peace. And so having this green kind of ceiling that's kind of undulating kind of feels almost like you're under a tree canopy if you squinted your eyes, but help with the acoustics because there's a lot of people answering calls and things like that.
Yeah.
And so we knew what function it needed to do and how we wanted it to feel emotionally. But then actually building it was like, okay, how is this going to work? What's the material? And we looked at so many different materials. We found this really nice palm green color that, really wanted this material. The sample was great, but I was like, how is it going to make those shapes? How is it going to hang on the ceiling? And, we tried scoring it and doing all kinds of stuff. And then eventually we're like, well, we're like fighting the material.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I think you were like, it wants, let's just curve it the way it wants to curve, and make a new pattern, but it still feels like a topography. So I think it was a really great collaboration between your like craftsmen and understanding of the back end construction of it and how that informs the design. And that's really where I enjoy working is in that. So that's been a fun challenge this week.
Well, for those who don't know, so the building is called USA Cares, and you mentioned the mayor's involved. So what's the intersection there between the project, USA Cares, and the mayor? How does that all come together?
There was some grant funding to help fund the project through the city, and so they're supporting that. And there's also donors, private donors, and city grant funds. They're helping them renovate their office space. So we came into a warehouse with no windows and no insulation, and like it was pretty sad. Yeah, and kind of punched some openings, brought in some daylight, and opened up the ceilings and insulated everything. Kind of finished it out as a kind of tenant upfit, but they own the building.
Yeah. So you mentioned it being a call center. Like, who is it a call center for?
So USA Cares is a veterans nonprofit where they help people navigate the VA, and also there's all these funds that you can get through the state and federal and local that they have researched all that for different states.
Oh, okay.
And so if you call in and you're having issues or you need assistance, or if you're having thoughts of what's the word,
like suicide or
like suicidal thoughts,
okay,
or ideations, they can kind of help talk you down, plug you into other resources.
Wow.
So it's a really great nonprofit.
Yeah.
And they're growing, expanding, and because there's a huge need for that. I mean, the VA can't keep up, because that's kind of like what the VA, part of what they do too, but it's trying to plug in those missing spots between them. And so
So how did you get connected with USA Cares? Like, how did that connection happen?
I think it was a cold call off of the website, maybe.
Okay.
I can't remember. I think
how they found you.
Yeah, they found me.
Okay.
And we did a walkthrough, and it was interesting. I always like to work with socially conscious nonprofits. And so it was like, here's a chance to help someone. I've done lots of office upfits for, ad agencies and people that like, oh, we need to look really hip for our clients, because when they want to hire us to make them look cool, our space needs to look cool, but we don't know how to we don't do architecture.
Yes.
So it's like, I can like imbue your brand into your space. Yeah. And so I've done a few office upfits. And so it was an easy project for us. And then it was a good fit too, because they didn't have a ton of money, which usually nonprofits don't, which is why I like them, because they need creativity.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you don't have money, like, well, let me see what I can do with it. Like you need me now. And sometimes people are more concerned about the budget and not so much making it, special. Yeah. And so it's a good mix of where it's helping people and then it helps their dollars go further for their mission when we can spend less on the build out. So anyway, we were interested in helping them because their budget was so low, they couldn't really afford to build it with like the traditional general contractor. Right. So it's like, I could bid this to, I know a bunch of people, we could bid this. It's going to be like $400,000.
Right.
They're like, well, we don't have that. And it's like, so we ended up actually being the construction manager. Okay. So that we went directly to the subs and helped manage the construction without like a general contractor markup. And we kind of like did a smaller construction management fee as that we kind of tacked on as the architect. And it really worked out. I've really enjoyed it because we were able to kind of keep the design that we wanted. Because normally it would be like, well, you got to get rid of that felt ceiling. What is that? I've never built something like that before. Right. So I'm just going to throw $50,000 to that. And then it immediately gets value engineered out. Right. But since we were in charge, we're like, well, we'll figure it out for this amount. Yeah. And it made it easier to keep the design on track and the budget when we knew all the numbers from the backside. Yeah. And so I felt like that's kind of where we're probably going to head with most of our projects, because it's hard out there. I've had so many projects die on the bid table. Yeah. And it's hard when I'm like, well, why is the number so high? If I can understand it, I can fix it from a design standpoint. And so I think the kind of architect-led development and construction is really interesting to me right now, just with my background in like construction and stuff. So
I want to dive into more of the kind of like construction management kind of thought process, but I'd love to, I know you mentioned having like a brown bag, kind of like this design approach. Am I saying that right?
The brown paper.
Brown paper. Yes. Brown paper. Yes.
We laugh about that in the office.
But I'd love to, like, you get the call from USA Cares and you're absorbing. So once this episode goes live and I put out some video clips, I'll put some photos in there so people have some concept of what we're talking about. But it's really cool what you've done, and I'd love to hear your thought process behind. You get that call from USA Cares, you're absorbing, okay, this is going to be a call center where people are going to sit and hear stressed out people all day. And you're essentially just working with a metal building shell. And so, I don't know what it is like 40 by 40, roughly something like that. So it's a 40 by 40 concrete shell.
50, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. And so just like, where did the felt ceiling idea come from? How'd you think through like hearing the need and developing that vision of like, oh, this is how I could transform the space?
Yeah. So So we use the like paper, the painter's paper, you know, where you like roll out and you like tape off stuff to paint. Like we get rolls of that in the office. And so we'll roll one of those out. We can just kind of like logically list out like, what's the program? What did they ask for? What was the client's goals? Did they have any specific like random requests that we need to make sure we remember that they wanted this like random thing? What are the challenges for this project? And then just kind of mapping out all the factors that go into the design, and then kind of looking back at it and finding those connections between, you know, how do you turn this challenge into an opportunity?
Yeah.
And then we just kind of brainstorm ideas, and we list out all the, you know, we analyze the site, the location from like also like a cultural standpoint. And so it's like as a society, like what would be appropriate here, or if we did something that might not be obvious, like how does it resonate in the mind of like the zeitgeist? And so we try to overlap all of that into it. And so with like going back to USA Cares, it was, you know, it's a veterans nonprofit. So we were looking at, could we incorporate things like chevron patterns that you would see on like the arm for your ranking patches or something, or the ceiling. Actually, when we're thinking about, okay, how we're going to handle the acoustic problem. And so we're like, some kind of felt baffles, we'll open up the ceiling. But then it was like, well, what is it going to be? and it was going to be difficult to get a pattern that it'd be expensive to make something very specific. So the beauty of design was, if it's randomly curving like a topography, if it's different, no one will know. It'll just do what it has to do without increasing the cost. And it'll feel like topography lines that you would see in like field operations. So we're like taking cues from the program and trying to reincorporate those or take that as inspiration to try and elevate the project, but also like try not to be like too on the nose or too kitschy. But at the end of the day, you may not get the reference, and that's good. It's like you may or may not. You might have your own interpretation of it. I think that's what makes good art, is, you know, how each person reacts to it and experiences it and has their own interpretation in their mind of it. But at the end of the day, it's still beautiful and achieves the objectives. And so, you know, and then our process is, you know, we gather a bunch of information. The project's only as good as the questions you ask. And then we go back to the client, since we're collaborative, like to bring in any of the people that will be on site, like yourself, for any subs or anything like that, and talk with the suppliers and the builders early on, because that really influences our designs, being cost conscious. So we try to find free design elements. You know, it's like, well, this only comes in this length, and it's like, okay, or we have to cut it. And it's like, okay, well, that's an opportunity. What if we cut it at an angle? Doesn't cost any more to do that, and now we have this design element or something. So, and then it's just kind of a back and forth with the client, and just kind of a collaboration. So.
I think what really like stood out to me the first time we walked it together was like so much of the conversation was from the vantage point of the person receiving the call, that I felt like so many of the elements were designed around that person, which I thought was really cool. But I could tell that you guys have put a lot of thought into what it was going to be like to inhabit that space on like a day-to-day basis, like in a way that I don't know that a lot of commercial spaces like that either have the opportunity or ever get considered in that way.
I think empathy is the name of the game. And so, you know, everyone wants to like, I want to change the world. And it's like every project is actually changing someone's world. Like someone is going to spend the majority of their life, if that's their job, in this space. And so it's a chance to like, you might not change the world with every project, but you're changing someone's world and thinking of like, I don't take that lightly. So
I mean, we were having conversations about, you know, just the fatigue of phone call after phone call and like being in a commercial concrete metal shell versus being in something that felt like more organic, more kind of tied to something natural. So I know you brought in like wood tones in the break room and, you know, like thought a lot about how those colors and those textures and materials were going to impact the emotional well-being of the person who has to receive call after call.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, I guess it's a little like biophilic design where, it's not just thin commercial carpets and a drop ceiling and fluorescent lights, with no windows. It's like, we punched a bunch of holes, brought in as much daylight as we could, views to kind of look out into the distance away from your screen, and setting up the desks in a more communal way, bringing in plants and greenery and wood and warmth and other textures go a long way. It's kind of subconscious, and most people don't notice, but then people do, even if they're have no sense of design. They might not know why this space feels better than the other ones. They will still notice. Well,
I would encourage people to go to the ribbon cutting ceremony, but this episode will not air Wednesday. That's not going to be relevant. So I'd love to jump. So were you born and raised in Louisville?
I'm actually from North Carolina. I grew up outside of Asheville in the mountains of North Carolina. Kind of in the middle of nowhere, 30 minutes from town down a dirt road. We didn't have heat or air in our house. Yeah, my mom and my dad felled the trees from the property, and there was a sawmill up the road, and they took it up to the sawmill, milled it, brought it back, built the house, and it's got a gambrel roof. So if ever I have free reign to leave doors open anywhere I go, because were you raised in a barn? It's yeah. I mean, it was a barn. They did put insulation in it, but it was basic, and it's beautiful. I mean, I'm playing it down. It's a beautiful cabin in the mountains. I was chopping wood and putting it in this potbelly stove to heat the house. It was very, very interesting way to start from that starting point. And then, when I went to college, I kind of left the mountains and went to this design school and just having my brain expanded and then ending up here and doing what I'm doing. It's kind of I'm really thankful for the kind of upbringing that I had, kind of just out in the mountains, watching my parents, love each other and raise us really well and set us up for success before, getting thrown out to the internet and everything and social media. And, so I was really protected there in our little spot in the mountains.
What was your age when they were building the house? How old were you?
So I was probably one or two. So they always tell me a story of my dad brought me to the job site when I was working on the house, and I was climbing up a ladder, and I was barely walking, and he was I was halfway up a ladder. I'd gotten out of the crib, I guess. My version of that story is my dad we were attaching a garage behind our house, and I clambered up. I was probably 8 at the time or something. It was a porch and then a roof. It was not a long distance, but I clambered up on the roof, and he's oh no, you can't be on the roof. And he went to help me down, and he hit sawdust, and he slid and kicked my feet out from under me, kicked me off the roof. Thanks, Dad.
That was where I got my start. I was probably 6 or something. Thankfully, it was it was to a porch, so it wasn't the full, 14 drop. Feet or whatever. But needless to say, I didn't get back on that roof. So by the time you were your memories kicked in, you had been living in the cabin. Is that mostly by that point?
That's all I remember.
Okay. So then, were you there through all high school? And then,
they're still there.
Okay, they're still there. Okay,
it's the rare moment where parents didn't get divorced and they still live in the childhood home. And
that's awesome.
There's a beautiful valley with a waterfall in the background. I mean, it's a really beautiful place.
That sounds awesome.
Up. Yeah.
I love it out there. Yeah. So you went through high school. Where did you end up going to college from there?
So I went to the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, which is where the architecture program is.
Oh, okay.
So that was a great program. They still had the 5-year degree, which is kind of making a comeback right now. So it was 4 years undergrad and then an extra year for your professional degree, which makes you eligible to take the architecture licensing exams.
Okay.
So
you Asheville and then Charlotte, and then so what was that transition going from Asheville to Charlotte, from the mountains to academia?
Yeah, I mean, I got called out a lot by some of the other kids from DC and New York and stuff. Because they're what does yonder mean? And over yonder.
You're darned if I know.
Yeah, that's a holler. Yeah. So they were.
Did they have to rewrite the textbook?
I guess, and I feed off of other people, so I kind of for those 5 years, I was like, I really like intentionally dropped my accent as much as I could and like tried to stop saying these backwoods things because they were all sophisticated and I was trying to fit in. Now I'm like, I wish I still kind of had that accent. I mean, I probably still have an accent.
You just have to work
not
on
as
it.
thick as it. When I go home, it comes out. For sure.
You have to do a translator for your kids.
That's
what Dad's saying. So what was your, like, when you kind of came out into architecture, what was your motivation for architecture? Did it have anything to do with like your dad being so creative?
So like my grandpa was the president of the contractors union in Georgia. And so there's kind of like the fact that now I'm like the president of like the local architecture AIA Central Kentucky chapter. It feels like in my DNA or something. I feel really connected to my grandfather, and
that's awesome.
To that. But they, were contractors, and my dad was a contractor and also tool and die maker. So he made a lot of the molds for GE lighting because the lighting plant was in Hendersonville, North Carolina. But he also did a lot of construction throughout his career. And so it's kind of, it runs in the family. And I remember my dad, I write him for this all the time. When I was a teenager, I was really into art, and he's like, you got to quit that drawing and learn a trade,
Good
and
dad.
I was like, I'll show you, Dad. So my compromise is I took my art and made it architecture school, and that was more acceptable of a way to make money with art. And I was really into it because I liked building and all that stuff. I didn't realize until I had this really great teacher in high school in my drafting class who went to architecture school that was an option for me, because everyone thinks, architects, you're just engineers, or like it's all math. And he's like, no, it's art. And like math is a small part of it. And like the math that you don't know, you get an engineer to collaborate with you. And so I was like, kind of opened my eyes to that being a possibility. So luckily my backup plan was I was going to be a truck driver. It's like I like
either or.
It's like I like to travel and go, I'm going to go see the world, and like this is like I don't know what I'm going to do, so I'll just take a year off and go be a truck driver. So I literally applied to one school. I had no backup plan. I was like, I'm going to be an architect.
I like it.
Like that's my only plan. If not, I don't know, I'll be a truck driver.
Just wing it. That's a pretty big spread, to be honest. You got architect on one hand, truck driver.
Well, that wasn't like a lifelong decision. It was like, well, what am I going to do next year? And so it was like travel and figure it out was my backup plan. But I'm just thinking back on it now, like if one of my like people, if I'm mentoring or something, like, I'm just going to apply to this like one school that's really hard to get into with not great grades. And like, it's like, maybe you should apply to the backup school,
just like send them semi-truck company contacts as a backup. So you get there and like, what was that, those initials, like days and weeks? Did you end up like fitting immediately into the kind of culture on campus and you feel like you found your people, or was it more like you got there and it was like a brand new world?
I mean, both. I felt like it was a new world. It was very cool. Like all the other kids were really, they listened to cool music and like they were all very interesting people that were, also designers. And where I came from, it was like me and a couple of kids in the art class were like that. And then so to have a room of like 50 of us and feeding off of everyone's experience, and everyone's so talented, it really pushed me, and had a really good group of friends. And the one guy, Joe, we really pushed each other through our whole career about like trying to be the best we could be. And he would do something and I would do something, and we would try to push each other to be better. And, I really embraced the like all-nighter culture. Like I lived and breathed the studio.
Really?
So I just loved doing it. It's like, I get to play with the stuff, so it was, I fit right into it. It's like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Within all that, like 24-hour day immersion, was there any particular aspects of it that really clicked with you? Like really felt like home, whether it's a hand drawing or the model making or the schematic design? Was there particular parts of it or just the whole?
Yeah. I mean, I liked the perspective of the way of thinking that I was being taught. It wasn't so much about the skills or the codes or all that kind of stuff, but just the the way of looking at the world and problem solving was new and interesting, to kind of just like glass shattering moment of like, oh, like you actually see the world for the first time, for real. And so I really enjoyed that. And I got kind of addicted to that kind of self-improvement.
Yeah.
Of like, man, a year ago, I had no idea all this existed. And now look at me. And in 5 years, look what I did through that course of my career. And then so I went and moved to Louisville and did some things. And I'm like, okay, I want to keep moving at that pace.
Yeah.
I want to keep improving. I don't want to plateau. And so worked at a really great spot and tried to do the same thing. And after 5 years, I'm like, well, okay, the next 5 years. So I kind of look at my, like every 5 years, like I want to keep the pace of personal improvement that I did when I came to college for design school.
Yeah.
But I think also, just to answer your question specifically, at school, I mean, I spent a lot of time in the wood shop. I was like the TA for the wood shop. And,
all the other kids are probably like, what are these things? And
and I'm like, don't touch that. Let me show you like how to do it. You're not going to lose a finger on my watch.
Right.
And then, but also like the digital fabrication shop and using all the laser cutters and CNC machines and all that. So I just spent a lot of time on that half the building as well as in the studio. So,
okay. So you graduate, and what was your first move like as you headed into graduation? Were you applying multiple places, or how did you think kind of the launch?
So I got, incredibly lucky and blessed. These two guys, Roberto De Leon and Ross Primer.
Okay.
De Leon and Primer here in Louisville. They were in Charlotte randomly for a couple of years.
Okay.
And they knew they were teaching grad school. And so they asked one of the professors that they trusted, and were like, who's a good person to hire?
Okay.
And he gave them my name, and I was lucky enough to intern with them the year before I graduated.
Okay.
And actually I was going to go on like a study abroad thing, and then didn't. And like, if I hadn't have taken that internship, my life would have been totally different. And, we had a great summer working on cool stuff. You know, my first day was like moving out of their apartment and into like the basement of a friend's building, and we were working away doing incredibly significant things. Like I remember the mayor came to visit us in the office.
Wow.
And like we're just in the basement with like dust falling down from above us, and like, but we had the mayor in there. That was really cool because we all had the kind of same design philosophies, and like we just meshed really well.
Yeah.
And so when I went back for my 5th year, they offered to send me to Europe for like 3 weeks if I came back after I graduated.
Wow.
And this is, 2007. So when I graduated, I was lucky to have a job.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anyone up here, like zero. And I didn't even know them when I came up to intern, but I was like, who cares? It's just for the summer.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just go have fun.
Yeah.
But then moving up to Louisville after graduation to like start my adult life was, and not having any family, no friends. Like the only people I knew were Ross and Roberto.
Wow.
And then so I moved up here, and they had brought on Lindsay Stoughton.
Okay.
And so the four of us kind of, we called ourselves the Core Four.
Yeah.
Went on a streak for like a decade.
Wow.
Where we were just, pulling all-nighters and working our butts off and had a great time. We were like family. I mean, it was the best job I've ever had.
And that was like 2008 to 2012, what was that run?
So I started, I guess it was 2006 when I started with them. And then 2007, I graduated and came full-time. And then I started my own thing in 2016.
Okay.
So that was about 10 years.
Okay.
There.
Were most of their projects local here, or most of them like kind of more national, international, kind of spread out?
I'd say regional.
Okay.
I mean, now they're like national and going international, and like they're like internationally known as one of the top firms in the world. So it's like, to be able to be there in there kind of early on, and be a part of some of the fundamental projects, and to learn from some of the best minds in our generation, was priceless.
Yeah.
I mean, I
can't imagine.
Couldn't have had better mentors.
Yeah.
And so, that was a great experience. Working with them.
Do you look over that decade? Is there one or two projects that really stand out in your mind as either transformative to your journey, or just really a lot of pride in being able to participate in one or two of the projects?
there were a lot of good projects.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
bet.
in that period, I mean, I don't, the national, American Institute of Architects do like a national design awards, just like the state does. And I don't think anyone from Kentucky has won like the architecture award. Like there's been an urban planning one, and maybe I got an emerging professional award, but like for buildings, I don't think anything from Kentucky had ever won at that point.
Okay.
And in that time period I was there, we won 3 of them. So it was like Mason Lane farm operations facility with all this like a bamboo cladding, which was kind of, I mean, if you think about my past, you know, I worked at this like camp that had this like maintenance facility. And then I go to school and I graduate and I'm doing a maintenance facility. And it's like, I know what these guys need. I've literally worked there for 5 years. And so I got to design a farm operations facility.
Wow.
And I was exactly prepared for that moment.
So cool.
It was like divine. Like my whole life has kind of been that way. It's like very divine. And so that was a really amazing project. Wild Turkey Bourbon Visitor Center on the Bourbon Trail. I mean, how much more Kentucky can you be? You know,
they're like, we need somebody from Asheville for this.
So that was a huge honor to work on that, and very cool. And then getting a chance to work with the Filson Historical Society, which is in Old Louisville. And it's a staple in the community of an organization, and working in such a historically significant location and getting to really just be a part of it. I mean, it was like an 8-year process. I think we designed it for a couple of years, and then we raised the funds with them, kind of presenting it to a lot of people. And that was mostly like Ross and Lindsay. And then the construction of it took like, I don't know, 2 years. And so that was my baby. I mean, because when it went into construction, I kind of was the, like, I guess, project manager or something, like, trying to coordinate all of that, making sure that we're building what we drew and everything, and had a great experience, good client. You know, Weir Realm was the contractor. They did a great job. And that was probably the biggest project I've done. And that I learned a lot on that project. And so I think that one was probably pretty influential in my career. Because that's kind of when I decided to go out on my own. We were in the middle of that project. And I was like, there's like never going to be a good time to leave. And I didn't want to leave, you know, Ross and Roberto in a tight spot. So we were just like, I think it's time. And they were so supportive. I mean, like they always are. They're great. And I was like, if there's anything I can do, just let me know to make this easier. And then they're like, well, you know, we really need to make sure we've finished this project. It's a big deal. And like, I know I really don't want to leave. And so they were nice enough to like let me leave, but still get to finish the project we worked so long together on, which was, you know, wasn't my aim to do that. But that really did help me start the studio by having a big client to, like, you know, so I became like a contractor to them to finish that project out with them. And that way there's continuity for the client. And it worked out good for me. It worked out good for everyone. And that was the third project that got the National Design Award. So being in my 20s and turning 30 and having, you know, gotten to that level in my career was wild. When I graduated, I was like, man, I want to be on the cover of Architectural Record and like all these things. I was going to take over the world. And in the first 10 years of my career, I did that. It was multiple times on the cover of Architectural Record, and I had multiple National Design Awards and all these things that I always dreamt of. And it you know, it just wasn't. I was like, oh, okay, well, what's next? You know, I'm glad I didn't spend my whole career trying to get to that point to realize, you know what, no one really cares. You know, like I moved out of Louisville right after I started my company, and I'm talking to people, and it's like, yeah, no one really knows what I've done, and they don't deserve my respect, or they don't, you know. I need to earn it still.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what I've done. And
Yeah.
people will be like, oh, you're an architect? Like,
Yeah.
what is that? Like, they don't even know what I do.
Right.
You know? And so I kind of realized, like, everyone's in their own world.
Yeah.
And they're the main character of their own world. And not a lot of people really pay attention to you as much as you think they do.
No.
And it feels good to win those awards.
Right.
But it's not sustainable.
Mm.
And it's something that I'm glad that I realized early in my career.
Yeah.
Where I can kind of focus on other people. It's more important than, my own ego.
Yeah.
So
that's it seems like a wildly mature, like you said, it seems like you sort of got rocket fuel on getting to that discovery. It's not uncommon to hear people get to that pinnacle in their career, but at that age, that seems like a rare kind of gift to get to that level, to have that perspective, that to be able to influence what comes out in front of that,
Yeah. It was rare to get to be in that room or that window. And to give credit to Ross and Roberto, like this, they're very talented, and I just got to kind of go along with the ride and see what it was like to be at that level.
Yeah.
And it was exciting.
Yeah. So during that time, I imagine with that size of a firm, that you would have developed some level of like, this is David's lane. Like, this is what David does within kind of that group, the core four.
Yeah.
So what was that lane like as that developed? Like what parts were they handing off to you as?
I mean, we're so small and working on such large stuff that we all kind of had to do everything. We all kind of chipped in everywhere.
Yeah.
And we would kind of divvy up the projects. And so, I don't know, we all kind of shredded and designed together.
Okay.
And some people might be like leader on a project that would bring stuff to review by the rest of us. And obviously Ross and Roberto giving desk crits basically and steering the ship. But it was a good collaborative space. Towards the end, I was trying to bring in clients and design with the team and managing interns to do the drawings. I think I did a lot of the like Revit work and putting the drawings together. And then I think I was very strong at the construction administration. And I think that's probably why I was working with the Filson's construction. Was like, okay, we really need to make sure this construction goes well. It's a big project. So I'd say that CA and design were.
So how involved? It sounds like they were very involved in the construction management side of it. Did they consider construction management part of what they did? Like, where was I know some architecture firms are more just focused on just the design and just getting it to the design, and then kind of somebody else manages construction, or how long were they?
When I was with them, we preferred to do the full services. Because like me, which is why we got along so well, they're really interested in like the craftsmanship and the construction of it informing the design. So working on mock-ups and, I think it was why I was there and enjoyed it so much, because we had a shop and we were testing materials and all the stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah.
It was a similar thing there. Where, having full control through the whole process was the preferred. We had some people offering to like, do you want to just be the designer? And we did do that on some of the larger national projects. But we always preferred to CA. See it through. Because we were like perfectionists. Like it needed to be perfect. And we didn't want to just hand it off and just trust, like, we were very particular. So it was on the Filson that you said you were kind of halfway through that project. And you decided that you wanted to launch your own firm. So like, what was kind of like, was there a particular catalyst or moments, or was it just kind of like a feeling you had, or like what precipitated that deciding this is it? I think I always knew I wanted to have my own studio when I graduated. And I kind of, told myself like, all right, in 10 years, like get some experience, and then, you need to do it. Like, don't not do it. Yeah. So that clock had kind of come up, and I'm like, well, I'm at the point where I'm getting clients and I'm running it through the whole process, and I think I'm understanding everything. And I think it was just again, back to that, am I improving at the pace? And it had been another 5 years. So I'm like, all right, what's going to happen for the next 5 years? And I felt like I was going to be doing the same thing I had done the past 2 years. Because I kind of thought about, do I need to go back to grad school? And because like Ross and Roberto both went to Harvard, and I saw how that opened doors, and I'm like, should I do that? And instead, they were like, if we stay, it can be like a associate principal or something. And so I got to kind of learn by doing that for a few years. And then I felt like in order to continue growing, I needed to dive into the deep end with like or jump without a parachute kind of thing. And I think it was just time for me to try it on my own. And I had some ideas of wanting to be more involved in the local community. We were so focused globally.
Okay.
And I liked the idea of taking less clients and focusing more on the community. And so it was just time.
Yeah.
I think it was like
kind of a convergence of all these different things coming together.
I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something different and try something different. And I wanted to do it on my own to force myself to grow.
Yeah.
And so, starting a firm when you're like 30, 31 is like kind of crazy.
It's a swing.
And yeah. Because you're like, wait, who's going to give you $1 million? Here's like $1 million. Don't mess it up.
Right.
It takes a lot of trust.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot about trying to get clients and what people value and those kinds of things that I don't think I would have been forced to learn if I had stayed because clients were just flocked to them because they're amazing.
Yeah. So when you launched, you mentioned sort of getting the opportunity to soft launch a little bit because you had kind of like you got to bring a little bit of work with you.
Yeah.
But what was that? So you launched your studio. What were your kind of like ideal clients when you launched your studio? Like in your mind, who was the kind of projects you were hoping to chase down? Or
I had done so many like assembly spaces in my career that I was like, that's what I knew. And there were cultural projects so I was hoping to do more of the same.
Okay.
I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But it was nice to have that cushion as I started because then I was able to say no to a lot of projects that I think when people start their firms, they're not able to do that. Like, crap, I got to take this client because I need to pay the mortgage or pay my rent. And so I was able to say no to bathroom renovations or like I need a deck on my house or something. It's like, which is fine, but that's not what I wanted to do. And I realized like if I say yes to something, I can only do so many projects.
Right.
And that'll be what I do.
And
what you do is what you get. And what you put on your website's like a mirror. So like I was like, no, I need to do something great. Otherwise that'll be what I get. And so one of my like first clients was actually a butt dial from an old contractor that I worked with.
Okay.
I was like, hey, Mark, what's up? And he's like, oh, sorry, I thought I must have butt dialed you. And I'm like, oh, funny, I've got you here. I just, started my own thing. If you ever see anything that, comes up that, might not be a good fit for my old firm, but might be a good fit for me, send it over.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, actually, I walked a site with an old high school friend of mine that has a nonprofit that wouldn't really be good for Russ and Roberto because, they don't have any money. But if you're looking to like get something on your portfolio to put on your website, here's this client. And that was Second Chances Wildlife.
Okay.
And she had talked to multiple architects and contractors about like doing an education center. And they're all like, this was 10 years ago. So it was like $500,000 when you could do something for $500,000.
Yeah.
And she didn't have that. She had like 100, 150.
Wow.
And so I walked the site with her. I was like, well, you have this old barn that's got buckshot all through it with holes in it. And it doesn't have a back wall and it's got a dirt floor. But you have a bunch of trees down all over this property so they were gifted this property. And like, what can we do with it? What assets do we have?
Yeah.
And so we found someone to donate a mobile mill.
Okay.
Does this sound familiar?
Yes.
And they come out and they mill the boards.
You're back in your cabin.
I'm like, it's divine that like I knew this kind of thing. I'm like, I've come full circle to like what my dad and my mom were doing.
You get your dad to come up and work on the project a little bit.
I wish I would have. It is a tradition in our family to build your own house, and I'm about to do that, and would like to have him come up and swing a few hammers with me. But yeah, so we milled the boards and we took some of the metal panels off the front to make a porch for the kids when they show up with their bus to stand under cover if it's raining. And we used the front panels to enclose the back that was open. And we were literally like counting screws and like repurposing materials as if it was gold.
Wow.
And I got some some materials donated, like storefronts and things like that. And I was able to work in some donations into the design, which most architects would like. It's hard. That's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But, we're making it work and trying to manage our resources in a creative way. And we're able to make something out of almost nothing with a really small budget. And so it was like one of my first clients. And I was like, I did like an education center as like one of my first projects. And I was only able to do that because I was able to not make a big fee and not have to take on other projects that would have slowed me down. And so that allowed me to get, an interpretive center. When I moved to Milwaukee, Cana Island, which is like huge cultural significance up there. It's in Door County.
Okay.
So if you're kind of like up on the thumb there, it's like at the Devil's Turn there.
Okay.
And there's a lighthouse, and they want a lighthouse museum, and they didn't want the Fresnel lens to leave the island because they were afraid they would never get it back, and it's historically significant. So we did this museum out on this island that has no way to get to it. There's like a causeway, but most of the time it's underwater.
Really?
So people will like put on waders and like wade out through the causeway or take like a canoe, and they have a tractor with a trailer that's like jacked up, and they'll drive across the causeway like in 3 feet of water.
Wow.
It's like a really cool experience.
Yeah. And so you had to build on that island?
So I had to build on the island. So the contractor bought this massive truck to get the materials out there, and they were just going to sacrifice it. Like so they bought it for this project, and they would just go right through the water out there and get all the materials out there. Because of course, the year we decided to build it, the waters were high.
Right, flood year.
In Lake Michigan. Yeah. And I remember a January meeting where we were riding on the back of the flatbed and just hanging on to behind the cab, and it was cold.
Yeah.
And this like wave hits us as we're driving through, and I just like dodge out of the way. And my client is like behind me, and I didn't realize it. So he got splashed with water. And like, oh man, I should have just took it for the tea. I should have. That was such a bad look. I should have just let it hit me. So, but anyway, getting sidetracked. But,
so it was sort of like holding out for the educational center is what you feel like kind of helps guide the next projects.
Yeah, I think trajectory wise would have been like 5 years maybe before I built my way up into, because I would have probably been relegated to just tiny residential stuff.
Yeah.
And I was able to go after bigger projects because like, look, I've done this in the past, and then my studio has done these projects.
Right.
And so it was easier to sell to the owners because, being so young at that point was kind of hard unless I had like a track record of like, no, I can do this.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. With those early conversations, like how much like street cred do you feel like you got from your previous employee versus like now that you're on your own, were they just evaluating like your studio?
It was hard because I tried not to lean too much on my previous portfolio. But I needed something to show,
Yeah.
And so in Louisville, it was helpful to be like, oh, you like people recognize that.
Yeah.
When I moved, people were like, some like architects would be like, oh, De Leon and Primer, you worked there.
Yeah.
But no one else cared.
Yeah.
And the clients had no idea.
Yeah.
So that didn't really help me at all. It did in Louisville.
Right.
So it was more about what have I done?
Yeah.
So it helped to have those few early projects do really well. And like that first project got a state design award. So it was kind of like, can I do this on my own?
Yeah.
And still kind of keep to that level of excellence.
Yeah.
So that was a great confidence boost.
Huge validation.
Yeah.
Especially under the constraints you placed yourself under to get that across the finish line to also win a design award.
Yeah.
Under those constraints, it wasn't like you had a, $1 million budget to really impress somebody.
Yes. Yeah.
Very cool.
But so that helped.
Yeah.
In landing some.
So how did you
projects.
Get connected from there to Milwaukee like that?
So my wife was from Bowling Green. She moved to Louisville. We met in Louisville.
Okay.
And we were dating at the time, and I had started this company, and Philson was starting to wrap up. She had graduated and was kind of like, well, where, like, I want to go somewhere. I need to leave. Like everyone's kind of like leave. And then and I was kind of wanting to get some distance between my past and the new thing. I was like, do I want to stay here or not? And we were both kind of like, well, we're young. Let's go move around and see where we want to land.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I own my own business and I can work anywhere. Like everyone needs architecture.
Right.
so you just find a job and we'll move there.
Okay.
And it just needs to be on the coast. And I'm thinking like California or something like that. And she's like, what about the third coast?
She's like, what kind of
the
coast?
Great Lakes? But she got this good job at Beyond Vision, which is a nonprofit up there. And it was, so we moved up there.
Okay.
And she had a friend up there.
Okay.
But again, I didn't know anyone.
This is your specialty.
Yeah. And I totally do not recommend starting a company and then moving to somewhere that you don't know anyone, have zero network. And so I moved there and just started networking my butt off. And again, this is like, if I had have done that, like that level of improvement happening every 5 years, like I was forced to like figure out, okay, well, where do you get clients from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who do I need to talk to?
Right.
Like, how do I get in those rooms?
Yeah.
Client development 101. And it took about 6 months to finally convince someone that, because I'm new to town and I'm young and, it took about 6 months to get a client. And then you have to do the work and then you bill for it and then you get invoiced and then you finally get paid.
Right.
And it's that was a tough move. But then I established myself in that market, started getting a bunch of projects and, and things in Louisville were still continually to slowly, steadily bring income.
Okay.
And then we didn't actually like that job in Milwaukee.
Okay.
It didn't work out as well as we thought.
Okay.
And we're like, all right, we need to make a move. We're too far away from family. It's too cold.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to pick the next spot. And so her mom's from Bowling Green. I'm from Western North Carolina. Chattanooga is kind of like halfway between the two families.
Okay.
And I missed the mountains. I really enjoyed how beautiful Milwaukee was. Like having a natural resource like Michigan right there.
Yeah.
Like I just walked to, I was like a block away.
Yeah.
I loved having the natural beauty. And so Chattanooga is like all of that.
Yeah.
You've got the mountains, you've got little mountain lakes, you've got the river that goes through. And so we moved downtown and, within 10 minutes, I could be hiking in the woods and have no idea that downtown's like right there.
Yeah.
So that was fun. The only problem is like, it attracts, I think, a lot of architects for that reason.
Oh, okay.
Because it's beautiful and people care about sustainability there and everything.
What is like, in my mind, I could be totally wrong about this, but it seems like a much smaller market compared to like a Milwaukee or Chattanooga market.
Louisville and Milwaukee are more comparable than Chattanooga. Chattanooga is more like Asheville.
Okay.
But I convinced myself, one, they were like trying to be very innovative and forward thinking. And so I thought that would be a good place that would be accepting of my kind of innovative modern designs. But my thinking was Chattanooga is right in the middle between like Atlanta and Greenville and Asheville and Knoxville and Nashville and Memphis. There's like multiple cities.
Yeah, it's like a hub almost.
Within a 2 or 3 hour drive.
Yeah, for sure.
So like, I can, and I've commonly had projects that are 2 or 3 hours away and you drive and come back. And I mean, I was going back to Louisville from Milwaukee all the time. I was like on the board of the Forecastle Foundation, would have to come back for board meetings and stuff. And so I was used to that. And so I was like, well, I'll live in a beautiful place and I'll work in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a lot harder than that. It didn't those projects, I had to compete for those projects and, basically a sole proprietor at that point. I had an intern here or there.
Right.
And so that was tough. And the Chattanooga market was small and saturated with talented architects, which was fun to be around.
Right.
But not great. Not a lot of great projects. There was a lot of like, well, my cousin's an electrician. He's going to be the general contractor.
Right.
And I'm like, well, he doesn't really know.
Yeah.
So, and I was used to bigger projects where, you've got, structural engineers and a full team of like, geotechnical engineers and, real big time contractors with all this technology and everything. And it was very much, it was a lot more small town.
Yeah.
So it didn't, and then COVID hit and stuff and I had a kid and we were like, well, I didn't sell my house in Louisville. So we're like, we kind of realized that Louisville was our culture.
Okay.
Yeah. The Midwest Milwaukee thing was fun. And Chattanooga was like a little too Southern.
Okay.
I didn't like the kind of use of religion to validate racism, kind of, because I'm like, no, I'm actually religious, and this is not what they meant by that. So that kind of got under my skin a lot. So, but Louisville felt very much like this is where I found myself. This is kind of our adopted home. So we're like, let's just go back to Louisville. Like, we just miss it so much. It's like everyone's like a boomerang city. So And I kind of knew when I left that I'd probably be back. Which is why I didn't sell my house. And I'm glad I didn't, because it was like COVID, and I probably couldn't afford my house now.
COVID real estate was not what you'd want to move back for, unless you're going to sell your house, because it was madness. So when you decided from Chattanooga to head back to Louisville, did you already have like current projects on running, or was there like a ramp up back to?
Well, yeah, like I said, moving every 2 years to a new market, it's not great business. But Louisville always had like 1 or 2 projects going on. So I was always going back, and projects take years to complete. So when I left Louisville, I was still working on projects. I had to come back. When I left Milwaukee, I'd finally gotten projects, and they were finally going on. And then I left, so then I had to go back. So I was literally like every week I was in a different city checking in on projects. And I was like,
you were thought about opening a travel agency.
I'm so done with this. Like, let's just go back to Louisville and let's just stay there. Because most of my clients were there, and they were usually some good clients. And it was closer to her mom, who was going to be able to assist with the kids. And so yeah, we came back, and I still had, steady clients going. And so I was able to just kind of ramp that back up. And so it's kind of growing and growing from there, and getting better and better. So it's staying put in a market really helps.
Your business advice would
be great.
But just imagine all the new people you've met and networked with now. You would have
I think I have a better perspective. And I think like experiencing those different communities and markets has helped me come back and be like, things don't have to be like that's just something I don't like about Louisville. The great thing about Louisville is like you can just get involved and change it. And it's not too big. And it's open and welcoming to people that want to affect it. So that's one of the reasons why we moved back here, is because I could affect change in my own world. So
you moved back to Louisville. Your studio moves back here, obviously. Did you stay sole proprietor? Are you still sole proprietor? What's your firm look like now?
So it's been a slow and steady growth of like, I was like moved back and was back in my basement again. I'd kind of worked my way up to like co-working spaces here or there and office here or there. And when I moved back, I had a kid and was kind of in the basement again. And I'm like, man, I've been doing this for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now, and I'm still in my house. And I felt like I had done a good job of owning my job, but I wanted to own a business. And so I was able to reach out to my network and was like, does anybody have any space that would be like affordable for someone that's cheap? And a really old friend of mine, Kyle Thompson, you probably know, he was a contractor in town. A great contractor. He was like, we've got this whole building. We've got exotic veneer suppliers and interior designers and cabinet shop and window and door supplier, and our contractor's office is in there. We would love to have an architect in the building and have this like old co-op. I moved in as a really great symbiosis there, where I would ask them questions. They would come ask me code questions and design questions, and we would pass clients back and forth, and we would all kind of help out the clients and with whatever they needed. And so that was a really great thing for 3 or 4 years. And I just kind of outgrew the space. And was able to, another friend, Jeff Rollins, my pickleball partner, we were chatting, and he's like, I've got, he bought another building. It's like, I've got this space. You're welcome to move into his old space. He kind of moved into a different part of the building and was doing renovations and stuff. And so I've kind of upgraded through 2 offices now, and had anywhere between 1 other person to 3 other people helping me. Depending on time of year and what projects we're working on. But, I don't know where I'm going to end up at. I could see 12 to 15 I mean, it's hard because I want to hire everyone that I see because I love mentoring and I want to help people. And it's like, I want to be the studio where everyone wants to work and every client wants to collaborate with, you know? And so I want to hire every architect in town to just come join and we'll have fun.
Join the revolution.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I could see it being 40 or however many people, but I don't know what that actually looks like in terms of management. And then that's a different lifestyle.
If you talk to your bookkeeper about this yet.
Yeah, right. So I'm open to where God wants to take me, but I'm trying to keep an open mind. But
so where are we at in your 5-year-ish cycle right now? Are we year 3 or 4 on a?
Yeah. So we're finishing year 1 on the next 5-year cycle.
Okay.
So hiring more office space, trying to make it more of a business. Trying to delegate more, which is hard. Yes, perfectionist. But it's great to have good talent, which I have been lucky enough to find, and tried to make another push on myself to, like, with all the struggles from 2020 to 2025 with not getting a lot of stuff built just because of cost of materials and cost of labor and everything. So I'm currently dabbling in self-developing stuff, architect-led construction and design. And I don't want to call it design build, but it's like heavily design-led construction. And it's going great so far. I'm learning a lot, pushing myself and in new ways.
So where would you like to see that design-led construction approach? Like more projects along the lines of like a USA Cares, or more kind of residential homes, or where would you like to see that grow?
Well, so I kind of refocused the studio around a few years ago, around COVID, when it was less about trying to seek the cultural, respectable architectural award type thing that I'd just done my whole career, and was like, you know what, that's not the rewarding thing I want to be doing. It's more about, relationships and generosity is the kind of currency of happiness, And so we're always working with socially conscious nonprofits, which makes me feel good. And I'm like, great, we're helping the world be a better place. But COVID made me realize, like, what is our mission? What am I out here doing? And why am I doing it? I'm doing it for the right reasons. Am I essential? And I didn't feel very essential at the time in 2020. I just kind of went on a walk and was like, what am I doing? And do people actually care? Like, is this actually valuable to people or to myself? Does it make me feel rewarded or purposeful? And so it's more not so much drive for excellence, but then kind of a conviction for excellence and service to other people. And so, long way to answer your question, I kind of avoided residential my whole career. And I'm like, well, what does the world need? The world needs housing right now. And we need sustainability and housing. There's a climate crisis and housing crisis. So that's what we're going to work on. So we won the Metro Louisville's competition for doing accessory dwelling units. So you can you can download our drawings for free. They're pre-approved for construction, so you don't have to get a permit. You just have to get like a zoning permit, which they changed the zoning to make it legal. And I'm like, we could do 12 houses a year if we worked hard. Or we could do these and give these drawings away for free, and maybe people will build 1,000 units. If everyone put a unit in their backyard, we'd double our housing stock and our density, and we wouldn't have this housing crisis. So it's like, okay, it's not going to pay a lot, but like if we say we care about putting doors in our city, which is going to help homelessness is a housing issue. And when I see people in the streets, I'm like, this is unacceptable as an architect who knows how to house people. It's unacceptable. So trying to find solutions, no matter whether it's profitable or not, it's like, okay, this is our mission. So we're going to do these other projects, but we're also going to do this. So a couple of years ago, it was like, we're going to make this happen. And now we're kind of learning from that and trying to move up into what would be called the missing middle stuff. So it's like, I don't think no one likes the 100 to 300 unit apartment buildings that look like they're from Phoenix or Austin or wherever, or Nashville. Like, it needs to look like Louisville, and it needs to fit into our neighborhoods. And so I think inserting a bunch of appropriately culturally significant, like projects throughout the neighborhood that doesn't overload one neighborhood with parking and all these issues.
Yeah.
It's the way we used to do it, and we just stopped doing those. And there's probably some reason for that from a finance standpoint, but I reject that reality and substitute my own kind of thing. And I'm like, if I know how to build a lot of value, like elevating humble materials in creative ways to cut the construction cost in half. And now if I can just figure out how to get the right properties and the right investors, I mean, I've already proven on this USA Cares project that we're ahead of schedule. We're 50,000 under budget. And we delivered a project like, they were expecting an office space with commercial carpet and drop ceiling.
Right.
We got this like elevated project, higher quality, on time, on budget, and I want to do that for missing middle type things and help solve this like housing crisis. I think would be really rewarding thing to do. I see things, I want to like find needs in the city, and like Louisville needs this problem solved and work on solving it. And hopefully it becomes a model for the nation, But I always feel like whenever I present to clients, most people are like, time, quality, schedule quality and budget. They're like, you get to pick two. In that Venn diagram, the thing in the middle is impossible. And I'm like, I always replace that with like creativity, Anyway.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating. Do you, as a business owner, like with that envisioning, you also have to pay the bills to keep your studio doors open. How are you thinking through, ideally, I want to do these projects financially? I have to, if I want to hire 10 employees, I have to turn over X amount of dollars per year, whatever, to afford that. How does that, when you are looking at the upcoming projects and where you're going to put your attention, how do you kind of like balance those out?
I try to do a project that's dealing with housing and the environment and history or something. So I like to be doing a preservation with modern provocative addition or something. I like working in historic properties. So I try to, there's certain kinds of projects that we're good at, and I try to have one of each of those.
Okay.
And that mix balances itself out. So we'll have one or two highly design focused, innovative things that are really rewarding for us. And then a few that are helping. I mean, it's every project we do, we try to make beautiful. It's like, even if they,
there are no clients that you're like, never mind.
I'm like, well, we're going to make something that's to our standards.
Right.
If it's honestly good, any client would accept it. And it's actually a good test of like, if someone came to you and didn't ask for, like, USA Cares wasn't really like, we just need this thing. And I'm like, well, I can do it for less and it'll look better. And they were open to it once they saw it. They're like, oh, if it was genuinely good and wasn't a waste of money,
right.
People are open to it. So I'm always trying to make that. But you're right. Some projects are more necessity sometimes, depending on the timing. But like right now, we're luckily busy, and we can be selective about what we're working on. But I like having a church project, like working with St. Aloysius right now. I like working with a nonprofit. So USA Cares is about to go into another phase too. And, I usually have some projects where I'm helping contractors, I've got contractors that will call me and be like, hey, I need something. And a lot of times those are usually not the best projects, like from a design for design. Right. But it's a relationship that I want to keep. And when I call them and I ask for help, I'm sure they would like for me to return the favor. So I'll do a drawing here or there for a contractor that I can help out and help them make money. And so those keep the lights on too. Those are kind of some of the maybe non-attractive things that you don't really hear about. That's just kind of happen. They're like little small projects. But I don't know. It's a slippery slope. I can only do so many projects. So I try to only do things that meet our mission. And I'm constantly, I have a process for this. Let me see if I can, it's the 4 C's. And I think I added a 5th one. Let me see if I can remember them without my like graphic. But it's like, is it for a cause? Does it allow us to be creative? Is there some cost impact to it? Like, will it be a profitable project? And is it potentially client development? So is it something where like this project kind of sucks and it's not really going to make money, or it's for a cause, or it gives us a chance to be creative, but it's good client development. There's so many times I've done something for someone, and then the next project was an amazing project where we got to do all this design and all that thing. So I try to have 2 of the 4 C's before I'll consider the project.
Okay.
It's like, well, is it, I mean, you can work yourself through it, but like, is it for a good cause and it's a chance to be creative? Let's do it.
Okay.
We're not going to make any money and it might not lead to anything else, but we'll still consider it. Is it going to make a bunch of money and it's client development or, I just need 2 of them, I think, is like, okay, this is something worth considering.
Yeah.
And then you have to consider the people. And if it's a good group, then I don't see any like red flags, then I'll take it.
Yeah. No, that's a super helpful. I feel like any business owner has to figure out some metric by which to decide. And I think if a business owner has been listening to the episode, I think you've helped out a lot by giving them frameworks, and myself as a entrepreneur, frameworks to think through, because I think everybody has like directionally where they'd like to go, ideally what they're situated to do the best. And as an entrepreneur, you have to kind of align all these things. And you're always, for me, I'm always looking for what's the framework for that? Like, how do we think through, because the world's, you get tons of opportunities to do anything. You can open boxes on YouTube and make money. So
exactly.
It's like, but you got to pick something, and having a framework, I think, is super helpful for that.
Yeah.
And then if you talk about your values and your legacy, then you're even, deeper in on all that. So
I'm like you. I have so many business ideas that I could chase after.
Right.
And a lot of times, I really consider it, and I'm like, or I could just do what I'm good at, and I can make more money doing this usually than any business idea I come up with, but I do try to expand what a design firm can be. If like I keep myself open to like, I've got some ideas about some projects that are just because they're cool. And, like doing that art sculpture installation at Bernheim Forest. It's kind of architecture. It's more like art, but
so like 1.5 C's. What did you get on that one?
Right. It's a good cause. It was a chance to have fun and be creative. So, and I guess there was another C, and it might have been like the client or for community or something, which I guess would just be cause. So it might be client, because people like Bernheim and USA Cares are like really great clients. And so it's like, if it's a good client, that should be one of the C's, I think.
So on all this, I believe did your wife just pass the bar exam somewhat recently, or?
So my wife just started law school. So she just finished her first year. She's interning this summer. And we had our second child, Rosemary, in August. And like August 6th, and like the 18th, she started law school.
Oh my gosh.
And she's crushing it. She's top ranked in her class and doing a great job. She had a really good internship at Frost from Todd Gibbons, and is doing really well. I'm very excited that, we've been trying to get her to like go to law school because it's something she wanted to do and just hadn't done it, and the timing that wasn't working out. And she took the LSAT in 2020, and we got married and came back from our honeymoon, took a pregnancy test, and got both results back, and she passed both with flying colors. So we're like, well, what are we gonna do? We're, kind of put it on pause with the first kid, and then that LSAT score was about to expire. And I'm like, just use it, just apply to law school. We'll see what happens, knowing that she would get in. And she got in. And we're like, well, we're having another kid. I'm like, let's not postpone this anymore. So we have no chill. We have a baby. She's in law school. And of course, the same year is the year that I was asked to be president for the AIA Central Kentucky chapter, and then running my business. It's just, we have no chill.
Well, I'm just really grateful that you took 90 minutes and fit me in there with all that going on.
This is fun stuff.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. I'm going to let you go because I know you've got a lot more on the day, but this was really fun. Definitely going to have you back. And I just thank you for the impact that you're having on Louisville, particularly in the kind of design first and the impact of design in Louisville. I think that people are feeling it in ways, and I'm learning from you as you plot your course here and that kind of thing. And I know a lot of people are. So thanks for being you, and thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it. Next time we'll have to talk more about you, because I know you got a lot of good stuff going on. So
awesome. All right.